All right, guys, welcome back to the Wind Down with Toya T. As we do a recap and review of Insecure Season 4, Episode 3, Low-Key Thankful. Now, I have myself a Pinot Noir, so go ahead and take yourself a sip before we get into this. Good. It opens up with Lawrence practicing a speech in the mirror as he's going over all of his qualities and all the things that he's accomplished at his job. He's planning to meet with his bosses to talk about a possible promotion. So he's practicing it, and all of a sudden we hear this annoying sound. You know, like the sound that fire alarms make. If you live in an apartment building, like that's the sound it makes. If you're in a college dorm, you would know that like really loud, like fire alarm sound. That's the sound of Condola's alarm clock on her phone. And she like comes out of bed like the Waking Dead. She was like this. Like, I don't know how that is natural or cute, but it's obvious that they're already comfy. He's spending the night at her place, practicing things that he's going to do before he goes to work. Obviously, he's going to work from her place and is able to see her with this crazy wake up. I don't know. I would find that really weird. It would turn me off if I was dating a guy and we had a sleepover and he popped up out of bed like that. I don't think I've ever had that experience. Have you? It's just weird. So she wakes up and he's like, yo, what's up with that? And she's like, well, that's the only way I can wake up because I actually slept through an emergency water landing on a plane. And woo, Condola must be a hard sleeper. Because I don't know how you sleep through an emergency water landing. But we find out that it's Thanksgiving. It's 2 months before the block party, and it's Thanksgiving. And I'm like, damn, this is going real quick. We went from Halloween on episode 2 to Thanksgiving on episode 3. So we went through a whole month, right? And Lawrence is telling her, like, we both don't have family here, so do you want to, like, do something? I can get some food from my friend who doesn't really cook that well, but we can figure something out. And she, lets him know that she's having a Friendsgiving at her house. And am I the only one that thought it was weird that she didn't tell the dude that she's dating that she's comfortable enough to wear a headscarf and show her weird way of waking up, that she's having a Friendsgiving? That was like sign number one. I think that was the foreshadowing of that alarm clock. It was like, bah, bah, bah. That was foreshadowing for me that this relationship ain't gonna work. How you not gonna ask your man or the dude that you dating to a Friendsgiving at your house? It's not like she's going to a Friendsgiving at a friend's house. She's hosting the Friendsgiving. So he's like, oh, cool. Do you want me to come? And she's like, yeah, you can come if you want to. Oh, that'd be cool. I didn't want to pressure you. And again, warning signs. And so Lawrence invited himself to her Friendsgiving. But they get over it and get the smooching. It seems like they were going to get some morning nookie until Condola's alarm went off again, just killing the mood and just, again, foreshadowing of alarms. This relationship is not going to work. So next we see that Lawrence goes to work. He's getting ready to go meet with his bosses. He goes to their admin and she looks really, really scared and uncomfortable and fidgety. And so she tells him that they had to reschedule the meeting with him because they had an unexpected meeting with someone else. And Lauren's like, is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, it's okay. But we find out it's not okay. In the next scene, we see that Chad picked up Lawrence from work and he's telling him like, yo, he found out that one of the major investors pulled out of the company and they're going to be forced to have to lay off at least half of the staff. And so Chad asked him, like, yo, are you worried? That's just crazy. And he's like, no, Lawrence is not worried because he says there's only 3 people on my team and I'm the only Black person, so I'm bulletproof. But obviously he has to be a bit nervous because he was one of the most recent hires. He hasn't been working there that long. And Chad points out, like, yo, like, damn, you just got this thing. Like, you already getting fired? And he's like, no, I'm not getting fired. But, I'm just in a slump. And he's saying that, I don't want to be stuck in one place. I want to be moving forward. I can't stay in the same place. And Chad lets him know, like, that's not staying in the same place. Chad is a real estate agent, if you remember. And he's like, I haven't sold a house in a month. That's a slump. I'm like, that is a slump. And Lawrence is looking at him like, well, dude, how are you in a slump and you just bought this new Range Rover? And Chad lets him know, like, this is for appearances. And then he mentions that Lawrence needs to step up his game because he's still driving the old Jaguar that his dad gave him. And Lawrence lets him know Condola's not into that. Like, she's not about appearances and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about it. So Lawrence sees Issa at a coffee shop, which he is meeting Condola at, which when I first watched it, I was like, oh, okay, he's stopping off for coffee, and Issa happened to be there. And he sees her. She's watching some TV show on her laptop. She has the headphones on, and so he approaches her and says, hey, they have some really cute banter. They sitting there flirting, because it was flirting. Doing movie spoilers, like, he spoiled whatever she was watching. She's like, oh, so we doing spoilers now, huh? So she told him at the end of Coming to America, they go back to Africa. And he's like, well, I hope you know at the end of Love Don't Cost a Thing, things get expensive. And it was just like really cute banter back and forth. But Condola steps in at the end, like catches the end of it. And she sees, I don't know where she was. I don't know if she was already in the restaurant or if she had just come in. But obviously he was meeting her there for a date. So I thought it was weird that he didn't automatically go look for her. Like maybe she wasn't there and he saw she wasn't there, but then saw Issa. Or he saw Issa and didn't see Condola or even look for her. But I would think that if Condola was in the restaurant with Issa, she would have said something. But we don't know. It might be a big restaurant. It was a coffee shop. It might be a big coffee shop. Maybe. I don't know. It didn't look that big to me. So she seems like really uncomfortable. Like, oh, so, what's up? And it gets weird real quickly. Issa's like, okay, I'm going to get out of here because she feels like really uncomfortable. And she was trying to tell them that she ordered her food to go, but she didn't. The dude working behind the counter is like, we have an order for Issa for here. And she's like, oh, no, I took it to go. And she just picks up the tray and takes it to go. And leaves, but before she leaves, she stops for a second and she looks back and she watches Lawrence and Condola hugging, and you can see she's a bit bothered. So next we see Issa meeting up with Molly at a supermarket, and they're talking about their plans. We find out that Molly usually has Thanksgiving at her parents' house. I mean, she's from Cali, and so is Issa. But Issa's parents are separated, so she was like, her and her brother are going to be having Thanksgiving at her mom's house with her boyfriend and his adult kids. And we also find out that Molly is still, well, we didn't really talk about it before, but remember from last season where Molly found out that her dad had cheated on her mom. And this was all like a long time ago, like over 20-something years ago, maybe 30-something years ago. And Molly still feels away because she thought her parents had a perfect marriage. And now she sees her dad differently because she's like, oh, my dad's a cheat and my mom had to deal with this. And so she's still weird with her dad. So let's get to the meat of this. The meat of the conversation is that Issa usually, I guess, comes over to Molly's family's house for pie on Thanksgiving, and they're talking about like, oh, you're gonna come for pie? And Issa's like, yeah, I'm gonna come after, my mom's house. But as they're talking, Molly mentions that her and Andrew are now exclusive, and she asks Issa if she should invite Andrew. And Issa, again, here's the friendship digs. This is where the cracks are coming in that relationship. So she was like, nah, you sound like the old Molly. Don't be rushing in. You're gonna scare him off like you usually do. And I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Ooh. And Molly she looked hurt. She got hit. She was like, damn, this bitch just came for me. Then Molly sees Issa putting away some of the groceries she had in her cart. She's like, girl, why are you putting that stuff away? She's like, I can't, we're 2 months away from the block party and me and Condola have been working on this and I can't afford this right now. And Molly makes a comment about, well, why are you still acting like you're okay with this whole Condola dating Lawrence thing and you working with her? And, she's like, this throuple is all messed up. And Issa fires back real quick. She's like, don't act like you just weren't in a throuple with Dro. I said, ugh. And Molly comes back like, At least in my relationships, I'm not fucking for toiletries and weed. She talking about TSA, babe. So, ooh, shots fired. Okay, it gets real weird. They both said, damn, like, you come with me, where did this come from? And they really realized, like, things have been off. And Molly's like, well, should we talk about this? And Issa's like, yeah, we need to talk about this. Like, I like that they're actually addressing that they need to talk. Although I feel like the talk should have happened a little bit earlier, before they started getting ugly and getting petty and bringing in, like, the real personal digs. They decide that they're going to talk at Molly's family's house after pie. So in this episode, there is a lot of focus on text messages. So text messages between Molly and Issa. So we actually see the full text print on the screen. And then we're also seeing a lot of checking of IG lives among the friends. They're looking at the IG lives and seeing Kelly's crazy family and seeing Tiffany and Derek joking about gobbling the turkey dick, which is cute and disturbing. It's cute and disturbing. We get to see all of their shenanigans, but it comes back later. Again, whoever directed this did a good job. The direction on this so well is setting up everything, like setting up the whole, like, okay, get used to the phones because that's going to be something to look for, and then look for the IG lives because that's going to be something. So first, Thanksgiving dinner. Stop. Lauren shows up at Condola's house. He has gifts. He says something really corny. He was like, oh, let me leave. And she's like, oh, no, don't leave. He's like, I was joking, right? Again, right there, you see the disconnect. Like, they don't even get each other's humor. Like, as long as they have been quote unquote dating, they don't really mesh the way that him and Issa mesh. Like, they were really good going back and forth. And you see the disconnect between Lawrence and Condola. Yes, they're cute and stuff, but like, they don't have that same chemistry. So he sees that her faucet is leaky in her kitchen, and she was supposed to get a plumber to come by, but the plumber was like, oh, you got a real faucet problem, and left. So she still has a leaky faucet, and he offers to fix it. And she's like, no, you don't have to. But Lawrence is really showing that he's committed in this relationship. That's some real boyfriend shit that he's doing. He wants to spend Thanksgiving with her, and then also offers to fix something in her house when she very much was like, I'll just call somebody else. Like, it's not bothering her. It's not like she can't have the Friendsgiving without the faucet being fixed. But he offers to fix it, and then we see Lawrence watching the video. Ooh, and the guy in the video was just so funny. He got like the hair, he's on his knee, and it's like some real 90s Jodeci type pose there. And he's like, yeah, this is how Mac fixes a pipe, lays down that pipe. It's like, okay, the sexual innuendo there, hilarious. So Lawrence meets Condola's friends. He does well with the friends. Like, he's actually really trying because he's committed to this relationship. But we'll find out that Condola is not necessarily committed, okay? Next we see Issa and her brother. Always hilarious. They go into their mom's house. We finally meet Issa's mom. Turns out her mom is Wendy Raquel Robinson. I was like, oh, shit, look at that. Wendy from the Steve Harvey Show and The Game. Hey, Tasha, girl. Love to see black women working. Yes. Yes, girl. Get your checks. Tyler Perry's not the only one hiring black actresses in Hollywood. So we see them walking up to the house. They're talking. Her brother is trying to keep track of Stanley, their mother's boyfriend's adult kids. Apparently he has adult twins. But as they walk up towards the house, they see an ambulance, and so they start running because they think it's their mom. They realize it's Stanley. Stanley apparently slipped on some loose gravy or whatever. And he's being taken to the hospital. Find out that I think he had a slip disc or sprained ankle or something. It wasn't very serious, but he still had to go to the hospital. And they decide, after they realize that the mother is going to the hospital with him in the ambulance, that they wasn't going to stay there. And she's like, oh, you can stay. Like, he has family coming over, And they were just like, no, we're not going to sit around with your boyfriend's kids and his family. So they leave and decide to go to a Mexican restaurant for Thanksgiving, which I think is brilliant. It's brilliant. My family went to a restaurant for Thanksgiving this past year, and it was the best decision we ever made. I was like, why haven't we done this before? So simple. Someone else cooks, you eat it, you might have leftovers, you take it, and you go home. No drama, no cooking, no worrying about burning a turkey or waking up to cook all this food and what time you put this in and that in. None of that. It was cool. So Molly's house. Molly's being weird with her daddy. Her daddy trying to be real nice to her. He's like, oh, I got your favorite drink. He got her a Snapple. She's like, acting real weird with him. The best part of Molly's family is her brothers. I'm going to say that right now. Her brothers are so hilarious. Her younger brother with his girlfriend that apparently is pregnant with somebody else's baby. And her older brother who is married to a stripper who turns out to be Masika Kalisha fucks for features. If you watch Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, you know what I'm talking about. Masika Kalisha fucks for features. Masika Kalisha fucks for features. Shout out to Zell. Zell the monster. Zell swag. Woo. So her brothers are hilarious. Like, absolutely hilarious. I love the banter between them. I wish we saw her brothers more. Like, I wish they came around more, but as side characters, they're great. So her mom keeps asking, what does your new boo look like? Because she knows that she's dating somebody, but she hasn't met him. And we know that Molly wanted to bring him to Thanksgiving, to invite him to Thanksgiving. And she told her mom, she's like, oh, you think that it wouldn't have been too much? Because Issa said I might scare him away if I invite him because we've only been dating like 2 months. And her mom was like, no, like if this man likes you, he's going to have to take you the way you are. If you're too much, he's going to have to like too much. If he doesn't like it, he can go. Because you shouldn't be changing yourself for no man. And her mother gave her great advice, but you can already see in her mind, she's like, damn, like the thing that Issa told me was real foul. And she should have said the same thing that my mom said, which again, this is how we know there's a disconnect because they're saying things to each other that is just not what friends would say to each other where they want to continue to be friends. Like, that's not a friend thing to say. Like, yeah, girl, you don't want to mess it up like you always do. So during this time, Issa texts her and said, let me know about what time you guys have pie because, things have become crazy on my side for Thanksgiving. And Molly's just like, okay, do you, girl? Which was just like, every time she picks up her phone and sees it's Issa, her face just changes. Like, like she doesn't want to deal with her. Again, warning signs. And how they're using those text messages. Smart. Then we see Molly with her dad, and they're about to play Taboo. Apparently that's the family's favorite game, Taboo time. And Molly's usually on her dad's team, but she acts real weird. It's like, oh no, since we have an odd number of people, I'd rather just keep score. And her older brother notices this, and he's like, can you help me in the kitchen? And he really just breaks it down for her. Like, why are you acting like this with dad? It's been months. You're acting weird. And she's like, well, maybe you and mom can act like you don't remember what dad did, but I can't. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? It happened to our mother. She's the one who lived it. You didn't live it. You just learned about it now. And if she can get over it, and you should be able to get over it, especially for the part, like, you're not paying attention to the fact that our father, is a regular man. He's a man. He made a mistake. He admitted his mistake and worked on it to make up to the woman that he loves. And that's why you have always thought that they've been in a loving relationship, this healthy, loving relationship, because he did the work to make it up to her. And Molly kind of, it hit her there. And I think she finally decided to get over and decided to be nice to her daddy. Issa and her brother at the Mexican restaurants, they finally get their food. It looks good as hell. They have like margaritas. They get some fajitas. It look good. They start talking about their crazy Thanksgivings, and they're like, well, remember that time that dad threw the turkey in the pool? And they really point out that their parents weren't happy, and so it was good that they separated, even though they have to have Thanksgiving with their dad or Thanksgiving with their mom every other year, and it's weird having to be around their mom's boyfriends and all that stuff. And her brother points out, like, well, at least, back in the day, you didn't have, you didn't have to hide who you were because, like, he was gay and he had brought his roommate, and some family member was making some long prayer about him being gay, but not really saying it. And he's like pointing out, like, the aunt came there with a married man, so I don't know why she was able to talk, but he said he's gotten over that. He's not trying to be with nobody that doesn't want to be with him. He's not changing himself for anybody anymore. And in that space right there, Issa tells her brother that she saw Lawrence on a date with his new girlfriend and that she actually felt really uncomfortable about it, especially for the fact, and here's where it gets real. She said, one, she was with him for 5 years, and her brother points out they haven't been broken up that long. So you were together 5, but you only been broken up like a year, right? Maybe a year and a half. but they haven't been broken up as long as they were together. And so she's like, yeah, it did kind of bother me, but I'm fine. I get over it. And her brother's like, no, don't get over it. You have the right to feel the way you feel, especially when Issa admitted that she's bothered by the fact that Condola is getting the guy that she always saw. Issa had the potential. She had the depressed, the working on his stuff, trying to figure out his life, and Condola's getting the fully realized man. And she says it out of her mouth. She's like, it really upsets me. It upsets me that she's reaping the benefits of the time I spent with him and him working on himself. Like, she didn't get the end result, which is real. This is life. Like, you end up in a long relationship with somebody, and then you break up, and then they go and become exactly who you always thought they could be with somebody else, which is usually what happens. Usually, like, getting somebody prepared for the next person, unfortunately, instead of it getting them prepared to be with you, which is why that you shouldn't be trying to change or develop people. And it's best to be with people when they are fully realized and developed. And if you're both in development phases, just realize that you're both going to be developing, and maybe you might not come to that end result together. So he told her, fuck Lawrence. You can feel however you want to feel. And that was a good move between them. And during that time, the mariachi band comes and plays a Mexican version of Thanksgiving, which is weird because I don't think Thanksgiving is an American holiday, an American made-up holiday. But they had a song for Thanksgiving, so Issa decided to take the time to take a IG video, which again, bringing it up. So she took the video, we saw her take it, and we'll see who sees it later. So we go back to Condola's house. So we see Lawrence, and he's getting along very well with Condola's friends. We also get introduced to her friend, Drunk Nikki, who was fully drunk and was played by Robin Thede from a Black Girl sketch comedy. Is that what the show's called? She was hilarious in this. And somewhere in the conversation, after Lawrence asked the lesbians when they're getting married, Condola comes out real straight, like, I'm never getting married again. Like, you can even put me in the overflow for your wedding because I'm so past weddings and marriage and all that stuff. And you see Lawrence's face like, Because again, as I was saying, they're setting up the fact that Lawrence is getting serious about her. He's trying to take his relationship to a new level. Like, he's looking to just settle. He's in that space. He's in that grown space, right? So it just gets awkward. He notices that Condola's drink is low, so he offers to go get her more wine. Drunk Nikki decides to go with him. She shouldn't, because we know that Drunk Nikki's already drunk. And she starts blabbing and saying oh, it's so nice that Condola has moved on from her failed marriage, especially after her husband left her and they got divorced. She's happy that she's finally, dating casually, and pretty much told Lawrence that Condola's not looking for anything serious. And Lawrence takes that in and he's like, okay. And at the same time, he goes to go use that faucet that he thought he fixed with the Max video and how to lay that pipe, and the water sprays all over him again with the foreshadowing. He just got hit with another alarm. Like, this is not working. Get out of here. Right. At the end of that, we see that the friends start leaving, and then Condola and Lawrence start to have a conversation. So he's sitting there in his wife beater because he took off his shirt, his loud shirt. So now he's getting down to the nitty gritty, right? So he's like, oh, I had an interesting conversation with your friend Nikki. And she's like, oh, what'd she say? He's like, oh, she pretty much told me that I'm your fuck buddy. And Condola's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. She's a mess. And Lawrence is like, well, it's interesting to know because I found out that you don't want a family. And she's like, well, who said I didn't want a family? He's like, you said you never want to get married. And she's like, I just got divorced a year and a half ago. And then so Lawrence asked her the question, which I didn't see coming. He's like, are you still getting over your ex? And Condola, she got hit. You heard that. She got hit. She's like, no, where did that come from? I don't know why you would bring this up. He has nothing to do with this. If I'm supposed to be worrying about people getting over their ex, what about you and Issa? And I was like, oh, ow. She mentioned what she saw in the coffee shop. She's like, y'all have this cute banter. Y'all making jokes. You have the same friends still. Like, how am I supposed to feel about that? And right there, it ends right there of them like standing on two opposite sides of the kitchen. And I was like, this is over. This is over. So we go back to Issa and she's driving her brother home, and it's real cute to see them actually getting along because they usually don't get along. But he pretty much mentions that, you know, you should be able to just do whatever you want to do what fits you. Don't change for anybody. Don't force yourself into any situations. And from that, Issa decides that she doesn't want to go to Molly's house. She doesn't want to deal with that. She just wants to go home and relax. So she tells Molly, you know what, girl, can we talk about this later? I'm not coming. And so we see that text. Next thing we see that Molly got that text message and she looked so over it. They both seem to be over each other. They need to have that talk, but I don't know how that talk's going to go. And we all know that it's going to end up with Issa saying that she don't fuck with Molly like that anymore. At the very end. So, before I end this off, I have to mention Looking for LaToya is getting good. Looking for LaToya. The white cops are looking for a Toyota. And the black reporter had to tell them, excuse me, we're looking for a person and not a thing. This is LaToya Thompson we're looking for. See how close that is? LaToya T. LaToya T. I sometimes get emails for a person named LaToya Thompson because Gmail, I don't know how they messed that up. I constantly get LaToya T emails of other LaToya T's. So I'm telling you, the story is me. I'm not missing. I'm right here. I'm right here. And good to know, because if the cops were looking for me, they'd be looking for a freaking Toyota. So to end this off, we see Lawrence. He's back at home. He's going through his Instagram, looking at everybody's Instagram. He looked at Kelly's. He looked at Derek's. And seeing all their shenanigans. And then the next one he looks at is at Issa's. And it's from her being at the Mexican restaurant. I told her it's going to come back up. He sees her having a good time and acting silly and being just full of life. And what does he do? He taps on that Instagram story and he puts the laugh emoji, sends it. And soon after he sends it, we see the little bubbles of Issa about to comment back. So we know a flirtation is about to happen in the DMs, But I don't know if I want Issa and Lawrence to get back together, because I think he about to lose his job and Issa about to get the broke down Lawrence that she had before. I would hope that if he got laid off from this job, that one, he would get a severance package, and two, that he would just go and try to work at Condola's friend's tech firm that apparently is popping, so that if they do get back together, Issa doesn't get bum Lawrence like she was talking about, potential Lawrence, and actually gets fully realized Lawrence, focused Lawrence, professional Lawrence, got money Lawrence, can pay for dinner Lawrence, and not bum Lawrence. Okay. And with that, that's the end of that episode. Where do you think this is going? The next episode, I'm just like, ooh, it has to hit the fan, because episode 4 is going to be the midway. And then after that, it's going towards the finale for the season, which, again, too few episodes. I want more episodes. Where is this going? Do you think Lawrence and Issa are about to get back together? Do you think there's going to be an issue with the fact that I don't think that Lawrence and Condola are together anymore, but Issa's going to be working with Condola, but then flirting with Lawrence, and then she's going to be having issues with Molly, and I can see Molly's petty ass saying something to Condola to make all kinds of nonsense. Do you think this block party is actually going to be successful and is going to happen? I hope it does. I just want things good to happen for Issa. I know we need drama. It's a TV show, but oh Lord, I don't know where it's going, but I know where this is going. And with that, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like this video. Hit that notification button so you can get this video. And I will see you guys next week for episode 4. Don't forget your wine. All right, bye.